times. Any unattended baggage will be removed and may be destroyed by security services.
Good evening everybody, hello and welcome. Dovetail Games have officially announced Train Sim World number 6. So, let's chat about it. What's coming up? What do you like? What features do you want to see? How do you feel about it in general? We are going to be kicking off the video at 20:30 by your station clock on the screen, so you've got about 9 minutes.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Mind the gap.
Hello, good evening and welcome to this impromptu stream because we had a surprise announcement by Dovetail Games that Train Sim World 6 is officially on its way. We are going to be having a little chat about it and exploring your opinions, seeing how you feel about it, and I'll give you my opinions as we go along as always. We're going to be kicking off at 20:30, so you've got about 5 minutes to get those drinks and light refreshments ready.
Always try to carry a bottle of water with you. Passengers are reminded that smoking is prohibited at all stations and on all train services. This includes e-cigarettes.
Hello, good evening, and welcome everybody to a slightly different stream. Dovetail Games have officially announced the release of Train Sim World number 6. If this does happen to be the first stream or video you've seen by me, then my name's Richard, and I'm a mainline freight train driver, former passenger train driver, based in the southeast of England. Okay, full disclosure, I am a Dovetail Games ambassador. However, they have no editorial control over the content. They don't pay me for doing it or anything like that, so all the opinions expressed are solely my own. Likewise, on the screen, all opinions are solely my own, may not reflect those of any companies I might be employed by or associated with, and all that good stuff. Tony Pike has subscribed, thank you very much, my friend, good to have you here. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is basically jump into Train Sim World 5. We're going to fire up the Brighton main line because it's something I can literally drive with my eyes closed, and basically have a chat about Train Sim World 6. So full disclosure, there will not be any spoilers in this. There is not any new content. We're not playing the game, so I'm not here to kind of preview the game. I don't have access to anything other than what's been released. So if you are here for that, it's not a clickbaity video, then yeah, just so you know where you stand. I'm going to try and read through as many of your comments as possible. I know feelings are quite high on this, so I tend to be a little bit more pessimistic, a little bit more optimistic than a lot of people on these things. So we'll jump in. Let's press the button. To London Commuter. We'll fire up this and we'll have a little chat about the announcement as we go along. So, timetable, what are we going to do? Let's do a 387 service. Brighton to London Victoria. 1 Mike 27. 1 hour 5. That seems like quite a long time for that journey. Let's go with that. That's just enough time for the stream and to kind of chat about what we need to talk about there. So, and we don't want it dark because the lighting on this route is terrible. So, first things first, Train Sim World 6 has been officially announced by Dovetail Games today. We don't have a release date yet. All we know is that sometime in August they are going to sort of give us a little bit more information about what is to come. So, what we do know is that the game is going to be free. There's going to be a free starter pack. So if you already own the game, you're going to be able to upgrade for free. if you don't own the game, I think there's going to be a period in which you can acquire the game for free. So Dovetail Games are not going to charge you money for this. I suspect, and again, this is just speculation, if there are any new routes that come with it, you will have to pay for those. But for the actual core game update, it is free. So anybody that says they're just trying to fleece money out of you or anything like that, absolutely not. The core game update is going to be completely free of charge. GJ, Leo, good to see you. We'll get this fired up, and then, like I say, I will catch up with the chat. It's, like I say, I expect it to be quite heated in here tonight, which is always good, because that's what we're here for, is to sort of have a debate and gauge how everyone feels about it. Okay, safety systems in. Sit down. If you does happen to be the first video you've seen by me, then this is a route that I sign in real life, so I can drive this HUDless and with my eyes closed. Typical Nathan, good that it's free. Supertram, which is completely unnecessary. They should just update TSW5 instead of ditching it. So I'm going to come on to that Supertram. And it's not that I disagree with you, because I think we kind of need to look at what's actually happening in there. Right, doors are open. We are loading. We've got a green signal. We are stopping at Hassocks, Haywards Heath, Gatwick Airport, and then fast to London Victoria. Nice. Very nice indeed. Yeah, so I think what we need to look at when we say it's Train Sim World 6, let's stop kidding ourselves. It's not Train Sim World 6. It's Train Sim World 3.4 or 3.5. It is not a new game. Anyone that thinks it's a new game, I think in the nicest possible way, is probably a little bit delusional. You are not getting a new game. You are getting an updated version of the same game, but it's been branded as Game Audio's now on. It's been branded as Train Sim World 6. That is it. So what Dovetail could have done is called it Train Sim World. We've released an update for Train Sim World 5, which is effectively what they've done, and they could have just advertised it's an update for Train Sim World 5. But from a marketing perspective, if you call it Train Sim World 6, it has a bigger impact. It brings new people into the game. It sparks people's interest. If Dovetail Games has said they've released an update, how many of you would have looked at the patch notes as to what's been updated? Not many. So by calling it Train Sim World 6, you effectively draw people in, but it isn't. It's Train Sim World 5 with some shiny new features. Train Sim World 3 with some shiny new features. It is effectively the same game. So yeah, Mark Vogel, they never make anything new. Interestingly, on that announcement, Mark, there was something about new Dovetail titles. I believe there was, anyway. I didn't watch the announcement, if I'm being honest. I've only seen social media posts on it. Joe Crosby, they released a new game to benefit from the additional PR that a new game receives. Just updating the game doesn't bring in extra eyeballs. Joe, you're completely correct. Pig and Bob, hello. Lawrence Adams, correct on the speeds there. Harry, we're all good, thank you. How are you? Yeah, Adam, I'm going to probably repeat that a few times throughout the stream as more people join us, but effectively that's what you're getting. So when people say, oh, you know, you're not fixing the bugs, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, I'm not going to disagree. There are lots of bugs and they do need fixing, but you're not getting a new game. You're getting an updated game with a different badge on it. So one of the games I play a lot of, which I alluded to the other day, was Planet Coaster. It's definitely one of my go-to games at the moment, and they're constantly updating. They're constantly releasing updates for that game with new content, new packs, free of charge. But they don't call it Planet Coaster, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's still Planet Coaster 2. It's just had an update. But Dovetail have chosen to go down the route of we'll release an update and we're actually going to rebrand the game as well. If they were doing that and charging you for it, I think that would be absolutely terrible. That would be really, really bad for business. But they're not charging you for it. They're giving it to you free. So they're basically saying, here's an update of the game. It's free of charge. However, we're not going to call it an update. We're going to call it Train Sim World 6. That's the bottom line of it, really. William, hope there honestly has got to be a ton of optimization as it's mad unplayable. What console do you play it on, William? So I believe they said in the stream it is going to support 8th gen and 9th gen consoles. So yeah, in terms of optimization, I completely agree. It definitely needs it. Quinton Roberthorn, they only want your money. As we've said already, not so, because it's free. It's a free base game to download. If you own the game, it's free. Yeah, Vince Planko too. Ben P, how are we doing? Concord, hello. Tom Abbott, hello. Streedy123, Euro Truck Sim 2 is the best example. Almost 15 years old and gets new great price DLCs. Yeah, but Euro Truck Sim probably could have. They've released updates. They probably could be on Euro Truck Sim 20 by now. Because they have had updates to the game. It's just they choose not to rebrand the game. Supertram 103, what cheeses me off is that they're expecting you to spend nearly 60 quid on a deluxe edition, which is how much TSW 5 is, and many add 60% of my routes cost at least. So you're only going to, Supertram, you're only going to pay money if you want the additional content. If a new route was released, you would pay for it. So basically, if you want the content that's coming with it, if you want the additional routes, you've got to pay for them. But in terms of base game, you're not going to pay for that. Joel Crosby, it's important to remember just how niche train simulators are compared to other simulators. Yep, absolutely, Joel, absolutely. Richie Rao, Euro Truck is a bigger game. TSW is more niche and hence smaller, so having the annual releases is more beneficial. Okay, we're off to Hassocks. I've got to remember I am driving a train here as well. Quinton, we don't know what's going to be the new train. We don't know what's going to be the new route. None of that information's been revealed. All we know is that Train Sim World 6 is being worked on. So I think for me personally, in terms of features, there's a lot of things that I would like to see in the game. So I think my #1 request in the game at the moment is going to be station and on-train announcements. I think nearly every modern train, I say nearly every modern train has automatic announcements on it. And all stations have announcements, and it's something we don't have in game. It's something that they did say we were going to get for Train Sim World 5. I think for me, in terms of features, that's an absolute must. That's something we've got to have. I'd also like to see sort of more dynamic elements coming into the game. So I think we've spoken a little bit about this before. There's too many green signals in Train Sim World. I signed the ride we're playing at the moment, the Brighton Main Line. I signed this route in real life. You will not run along this route on green signals all day long. It doesn't happen. So I'd like to see a lot more sort of dynamic elements like that. We've spoken about having like P-way staff on the track, out of course situations. I think stuff like that is what the game needs, because you can play the same route, the same service over and over again, and it'll play exactly the same. In real life, that's not how it works. Should we speculate on the new route and train? Adam Turner, speculate away. Absolutely speculate away. And Mark Vogel, homemade routes are so well done. I think a lot of the new DLC we've been seeing from the likes of Alan Thompson and Just Trains has been fantastic, and it has been better than what Dovetail have released. I'm not going to argue with that in any way, shape or form. Mark, leaves on the line could be fun. Absolutely, yeah. The lower Dijon is simulated in-game, but it's not simulated as well as it could be. I think that would definitely make it interesting. Working GSMR, Craig, yeah, we've spoken about that before. Of course, we have got some sort of working GSMR, but it doesn't work as it should. But having working GSMR in game on all new trains would be great, to the extent where you kind of have to punch your running number in and stuff, just so you've got something extra to set up. On the GSMR as well, you could have sort of what we call general calls, which is where the signaller broadcasts general information about temporary speed restrictions and that sort of thing. Hey, temporary speed restrictions, another feature that would be great in game. Supertram says, I wish we got a Voyager or a Meridian. I think something cross-country like a Voyager would be really beneficial in game. I think there's lots of routes that could go on. Harry 11, Dad Rail, I would like to see South Western Railway. Vince, last year we got conductor mode. Exactly that, Vince. So yeah, you do get new features and you don't pay for those features, which has got to be a positive thing. Infinite Gaming, when you load up the game, all the safety systems should be automatically turned on. This should be a wishlist video. I hope someone from Dovetail's watching. Yes, we spoke about that. It was just the last stream we done, as a matter of fact, wasn't it? Where we said, you know, you should have the option for all safety systems to be on as default. Darius, TSW6 will probably come out before the Great Western Express remaster. That wouldn't be a bad thing, Darius, because if it does, that means that any new features Train Sim World 6 has got will be on the route, so that would be good. Did we do in-cab screens working, Vince? I think I said that one already, but yeah, 100% here for that. Some sort of dispatch mechanism, more information on the TMS. I think that would be brilliant. Streedy123, East Coast Mainline scenario has a temporary speed restriction, though it only gives you about 30 seconds notice. Okay, yeah, that's not how that's supposed to work. Supertram, yep, they should do Aberdeen to Glasgow and Edinburgh route, which we could get in the Intercity too. What about a 185, says Quinton? Absolutely. Great Western, I mean, the cross-country licence has been given to Rivet. I believe we're getting a 170 for Birmingham Cross City. Nice. I think the Voyager would probably be the better one there, but I'll take a 170. Ashley Coles, why does Free Whiskey 74 keep getting cancelled? That's a seasonal train. It doesn't start running until September, which is probably why it's not been running, actually. Adam Turner, if it's based on the roadmap video. I'm going to be completely honest, I haven't seen the roadmap video. Seb Welch likes trains. I have Brighton Main Line on Train Sim World 4. Yes, Brighton Main Line I think was originally a Train Sim World 2 route, I want to say. It's definitely one of the older routes. I'd love to see this one updated. I have a terrible approach to Hassocks because I'm just looking at the chat there. Specific Thomas the Tank Engine route. GJ, do you know what? Like an Island of Sodor type thing would be pretty cool for the kids. I'd probably have a play on it myself if I'm being honest. But I wish we had better sounds for the 170, as it has terrible sounds on it. I was out doing some sound recording today actually on a Class 73, but I can't say anything about that. It had nothing to do with Dovetail Games, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to start any speculation. And that's not how to stop at a station, guys, as well. That's far too much break. And we are stopped on the mark at Hassocks. Doors on the left. Leo Low, you don't usually stop at station. No, that's very true. Being a freight driver, it's... although I am Class 1 competent now, so I do drive occasionally passenger trains again. Great with some photography. I hope the one thing we get in Train Sim World 6 is more Thomas add-ons. Seb, ask away. The last comment I saw from you was the service to Birmingham New Street. What do you think if a Class 755 or a 745 were added? I'm happy to see anything added. I think everyone's always going to have their personal preferences as to what routes they would like to see in the game and to what traction they would like to see. You know, some people want steam, some people want more diesel, some people want electric. Most people want their local routes in game. So it's not really for me to speculate on, you know, sort of what routes we're gonna get, as it were. But happy to have a chat about it. Rick Ashtray, what would you like to see in Train Sim World 6? Again, for me, Rick, it's going to be those more dynamic elements. Of sort of, I don't want to run a route that's always on green signals. We're driving along now. I generally have no reason to look out the window. You know, there's not going to be P-way staff on the line. There's not going to be trespassers. I'm not going to come across a speed restriction. I'm not going to get a yellow signal. Probably not going to get a yellow signal. You know, for me, the game needs to be more engaging in that way. So I'd love to see more elements like that. Some sort of dispatch mechanism with a guard going ding ding. We've already spoken about working in-cab screens, your DOO monitors in-cab working. That would be really cool. So I think City Transport Simulator has that on it. Station and platform announcements would be cool. I just kind of want to see more real-world elements in it. Seb, don't really follow it. If Dovetail Games wanted a different Southwestern Railway... If the Dovetail Games wanted to go different, the Southwestern Railway London Waterloo. I would like to see a line out of Waterloo, but again, I'm biased because I have route knowledge out of Waterloo. I said we weren't going to see yellows, like I've been proven wrong. Yeah, so I would probably like to see Waterloo to Reading, or Waterloo to Windsor at least, via Hounslow and Richmond. I think would be pretty good in game. Darius, I want another route in the northeast. We've only got the Tees Valley line, which is quite dated as well now, so I can completely see why you would want that. Joshua Cumbers, yeah, multiplayer, so a friend can guard you whilst you're driving. Again, multiplayer is not something I'm massively sold on, but I know it is something that a lot of people do want and have requested. You know, again, this is purely speculation. I don't know if we're going to get it. Again, it's something that lots of people want. The devs do seem to be listening, I hope. Yeah, not something for me personally I'm particularly bothered about, but I can absolutely see why it would be. Concord, Waterloo to Winchester is a reasonable length. I would say that's quite a long run. Waterloo to Southampton, I'd love that with the Portsmouth Direct. Mark Vogel, I play on PC, I can drive from Glasgow all the way down to London. In Train Sim Classic, do you mean? Great with some photography. Multiplayer will never happen for Train Sim World because the core game is built for single player. Well, there we go. Right, we're not stopping at Burgess Hill here, but we are red ahead. Mark, SimRail has multiplayer. Yeah, I think SimRail was sort of built from the ground up with that in mind. I don't think Train Sim World was. Again, it's not saying we're never going to see it in Train Sim World. It would be interesting to see how it would be implemented. Some sort of dispatcher mechanism, you know, with like signaller. I think, yeah, it's definitely food for thought with it. Darren, how are we doing? A Chiltern route would be nice to see, says Willem here. A Chiltern route, yeah, I would agree with that. It'd be quite nice to get the 86 in game with the DVTs. That would be really nice on the Chilterns. Again, that would be really useful on some of the other routes as well, on like the West Coast Main Line for freight running. You know, I was saying about the signalling not being dynamic, and we're getting yellows now, which is interesting. Darren, we need a kind of multiplayer. We need someone on the other end of the radios, like we have VAT Sim on Flight Sim. That would be cool in Train Sim. Yeah, I would agree, Darren, but generally speaking, certainly on UK networks, I can't speak for other countries, but you might speak to the signaller 3 or 4 times a week. So it's not something you're constantly doing. You're sort of just generally driving to the signals. So multiplayer, I think, is interesting and it's worth exploring. And sort of how you would implement that, I don't know. GJ says, Ashley, indeed, but as part of a South... Oh, sorry, I'm picking up middle of a conversation there. Seb, that's great. SJA, Waterloo to Reading would be a nice combo of route length versus action. Hard to create, but super fun. I think, yeah, Waterloo to Reading, doing it via Hounslow and via Richmond as well would give you both loops. You could also then do the Hounslow rounders. So you come around Hounslow, go around Hounslow Junction, Whitton Junction, and then head back in towards London. We are red ahead. Banner repeaters off. Try not to look at the... I don't need to look at the heads-up display. I drive this. Great Western, an ex-Dovetail Games employee now works at Skyhook, said that adding Waterloo would be a nightmare because of the amount of traffic. When Brighton Mainline released, there was a huge amount of issues with Victoria. I think Brighton Mainline was released for Train Sim World 2, though. That's worth bearing in mind. We're now on Train Sim World 5 going into Train Sim World 6. The technology behind the game has evolved, so it's quite possible that it would now be doable. Infinite Gaming, I think it might come out in September. Darren Steer, drivers in other trains instead of AI. The issue you get with that, Darren, is like we see in SCR in Roblox. You'd have to have some way of policing that. Because you get someone who just stops at a red signal and decides not to move, and then everything else on the network backs up and gets stopped, which is what happens in SCR. So you'd have to have some way of policing it and making sure that everyone was actually driving properly. But yeah, it would be sort of open world game with real drivers, real train dispatchers, a bit like SCR is in Roblox, but kind of on a more professional level. Would be cool. Seb, why is your HUD off? Because I don't need it on, Seb. Mark, Russian locos. Bears. Richard, do you use a rail driver? I don't, I'm on the keyboard. I should get myself one then. Sam's Autistic Travel Adventures, hello. Seb, I've played it in the past, but I don't really play it anymore. Infinite Gaming, yeah, I think early September is probably a good shout for a release. I don't think we've had an official release date as yet, though. Yeah, Great Western, there's still issues with the TSW core routes like Frankfurt Fulda that has become a mess and doesn't work, so it is like the Brighton Main Line. In terms of fixing things on what already exists, you know, I'm not going to argue with that point. It needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. Supertram, I just got a stupid advert. I can only apologise for that, Supertram. I do make a little bit of money from YouTube. It's definitely not a fortune, but unfortunately, YouTube just puts adverts in wherever it likes. But YouTube Premium is about, I think, $12.99 a month, and it's pretty good because you don't get any adverts in videos, and the creators still get a little bit of revenue from it, so that's something worth looking at. Sam's Autistic, I am excited for Train Sim World 6. Excellent. I don't have Train Sim World 5, so I'm waiting for the starter pack to get it free, then buy the routes I want. That's the way to do it, Sam. That's definitely the way to do it. Darius, an extension to Bishop Auckland on the Tees Valley line would be good. Be nice for Railway 200. Tees Valley, I think, could do with an upgrade. I think it's a really good route with a lot of potential. It's one I would like to see upgraded. Okay, one yellow, red's at the end of the platform at Hayward Heath. And we're going straight into platform number 3. So 97 of you lovely people watching, which is fantastic. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, consider subscribing, that would be absolutely awesome. Does YouTube cover the weekly takeaway? It probably covers the monthly takeaway breakdown, if I'm being completely honest. It's I do it because I enjoy it. It's basically the crux of it. I'm never going to make a living from this. I've got no intention of making a living. It does provide a little bit of pocket money. It's very negligible though. It's and when I say monthly takeaway, that is probably a pretty fair analysis. We're stopping for the red, not the platform. So 20 at the AWS Magnet. We are an 8-car train. William GNER IC 125. Oh, that would be cool. The White Rose set. Let's just have the East Coast Main Line extended down to London. It gives us the potential of more routes for the 387, more routes for the 700, and put a GNER set. You know, obviously they didn't run at the same time as the 700s, but a Class 90 with some Mark 4s, or 91 with some Mark 4s. Yeah, superb. I'll be here for that. Okay, 8 on the 8 here at Haywards Heath. DRA on. Into neutral. Doors on the left-hand side. Peter Evans, we need a good long UK route in 6 with a good grunty legacy diesel loco. Deltic or a 50. No more suburban rubbish with bogcarts. Peter, do you know what? I'd actually completely agree with you. What would we like in terms of a long route, though? Let's have... You know, we've got the Great Western Main Line to Paddington. That would be a great one to extend. Let's extend that down to Bristol via the Hallavingtons, or via Bath Spa would be even better. I mean, we could even go one better and extend that down to Exeter or Cardiff. That would be, I'd be here for that. I would definitely be here for that. That would be a pretty good one. Deltic again, you know, East Coast Main Line with a Deltic, lovely. And I think we've seen some of the heritage stuff from Just Trains. You know, we've seen the Blackpool branches and the West Coast Main Line over Shap with the 87s and the 86 coming soon, and of course the Pacers. It's been so well received and it's such a good route to drive, and I'd definitely like to see more stuff from that era. Some 50s, 55s, yeah, definitely, I'm here for that. Ava, considering we're getting cross-country in the game, I hope we eventually get a route with Voyagers. Controversial, I like Voyagers, so I'm here for that as well. Mark, I want to see a route in Wales, mostly because I like their flag. I love the Welsh language, Mark, as well, I'll be completely honest. Yeah, another Welsh route would be cool. Obviously, we've got Cardiff Networks. An extension to Cardiff Networks, you know, so maybe, I don't know, Bristol Parkway to Swansea. It's not a particularly long route, but through the tunnel, integrate all the Cardiff Central stuff into the Cardiff Network stuff into it would be pretty cool. Yeah, lots of stuff. I know Dovetail Games like short routes, so why not London, St Pancras to Clapham Junction? St Pancras to Clapham Junction? How would you do St Pancras to Clapham Junction? You sure you mean St Pancras? That's yeah. So I'm quite excited to see what's coming in terms of features. Like I said, I think you kind of need to break down that. You know, we're getting another version of Train Sim, they're trying to fleece us. Well, no, A, they're not trying to fleece you because they're not charging you for it. It's a free upgrade. And you kind of need to... It's got a Train Sim World 6 badge on it, but it's not Train Sim World 6. It's Train Sim World 2/3.458, whatever. It is the same game with an update, but it's being branded as a new version of the game. I mean, what it should say, you know, it shouldn't be Train Sim World 6. It should be Train Sim World version 6. That's the best way of looking at it. You know, we're currently on Train Sim World version 5. You're going to get a free upgrade to Train Sim World version 6. And I think that's the way people need to look at it. Mark, what about London to Brussels via the Channel? Do you know what that is? Probably the route you don't want. The route you think you want, but you don't. And what I mean by that is driving through a hole for 35-40 minutes is really boring. To be fair, we've got the... I wouldn't mind seeing the route from the tunnel itself down. And I wouldn't mind seeing the route, the full high-speed route. Obviously, we've got St Pancras to Ashford, but Ashford down to the tunnel would be good. Yeah, as Vince says, their Channel tunnel is just long now. Routes either side would be good. London Euston to Peterborough. I thought with the East Coast Main Line, the section they done was a bit of an odd choice. I also understand that they don't always want to be London-centric in what they do. So, okay, 2 yellows. Red is just after Copyhold Junction. Let's try not to turn the train off. Yeah, I think, Ava, you make a good point. I think they should just stick with what they do with Train Sim Classic naming-wise. Train Sim World 25, 26. I guess what's in a name? I mean, I suppose a name could make or break a game. I did notice in the release, the clip that I saw, when Alex said, this is the version, this is the number 6 game that you've all been waiting for, because nobody's waiting for GTA, are they? I think that's what he was getting at there. Fast travel option, yeah, Mark. See, fast travel option. You kind of raise another feature that I would really like to see. We've got route hopping, green at Copyhold Junction. Next stop. Put the HUD up to get the next stop, Gatwick Airport. We've got route hopping on game. I would love to see in-train route hopping. I would love to be able to. Brighton Main Line is a classic one. We get to. We could come on the East Coastway, Eastbourne to Brighton. We get to Brighton. I want to be able to route hop in the train. So I want to be able to, you know, not have to get out and respawn the train and all of that. I want to be able to create a rail tour service where I can route hop in the train, if you know what I mean. I think that would be absolutely awesome. A few other examples of where that would work with various routes that we've got crossed over. You know, it'd be really nice, for example, to work a light engine from Carlisle down to Preston, route hop onto Blackpool branches, and then work the same loco to Blackpool. Obviously we can do that with free roam mode, but you've kind of got to do that route hopping. It'd be really nice to do route hopping on a route, in a loco, as part of a timetable service, to join those bits together. Mark, Lille to Brussels would be awesome. Craig, yeah, the route from Lille would be good. Eastbourne Parkway fans, to be honest, I disagree with them bringing the new Train Sim Worlds out, as the current version is fine. Yeah, but what I'm saying, Eastbourne Railway fan, is look at it like this. It's Train Sim World version 6. You know, the devs are never going to go, that's good enough. They're always going to develop. That's what devs do. So you're getting an update with added features, and that can't be a bad thing. You know, if they were going to charge you for that and then lock you into it, you know, I'd be like, well, hang on a minute. You're doing this once a year. That's a lot of money. But we're kind of in this place now where we're getting it for free. You're just going to pay for the routes, which you would do with any other route. Quinton, yes, I am a real driver. I drive freight now, but I used to drive passenger many years ago, 5-6 years ago. Okay, Ouse Valley Viaduct, line speed is currently 90. Let's keep the power in. William, Dad, you're a driver. How realistic is Train Sim World to a real driver's appearance, apart from it being on a screen, and why? Again, it probably goes back, William, to what I was saying earlier on in the stream about those dynamic elements in the game. When I'm driving a train for real, I've got to keep looking out the window in case there's P-way staff on the line, in case the signaler's, you know, not pulled off the signal quick enough, in case that I've got a temporary or emergency speed restriction coming up. This game, it drives the same every time, and real life isn't like that, so this isn't as dynamic as real life. I don't have a reason to look out the window. On this game, I can just look at my HUD and look at my numbers. So I think it needs those dynamic elements to kind of give you a reason to look out. For me, that's probably the biggest element. Simba on the Mile, was the number 6 you have been waiting for referring to GTA? I assume it was in reference to the Elder Scrolls, since 5 came out over a decade ago. I assumed it was GTA, but it might have been the Elder Scrolls. I'm not overly familiar with that that series, if I'm being fair. Alex James, may I ask what the addition is between TSW5 and TSW6? Is it worth buying? Alex, TSW6 is a free upgrade. So the base game, Train Sim World 6, will be completely free to upgrade. It's not going to cost you anything. Now, it will likely have additional routes and additional trains, which you will have to pay for. But, you know, any DLC that gets released, you've got to pay for anyway. But the actual, to go from 5 to 6, will be free. In terms of what new features we're getting, we don't know. All they've announced is that it's happening. So we're kind of speculating about what we would like to see. So Alex, you know, let us know what features you would like to see in it. Darius may be slightly biased, but Newcastle, Edinburgh is a much more interesting part of the East Coast mainline. I've only been up the East Coast as far as Newcastle, so I'll take your word for that. Right, we're going into Balcombe Tunnel. So line speed has dropped down to 80, 85, 80 coming out the tunnel, so we'll just keep it there. I hope Northern Ireland Railway comes. Yeah, it'd be good to see some Irish routes. I think there's lots of countries in the world that are not represented fully, and Ireland's definitely one of them. We do have a Japanese route coming out as well, which I'm going to be quite interested to get to grips with that and sort of have a play with the safety systems. East Midlands Railway fan, I still disagree with it, even if a dev wants to, as they can develop the current version. But that's what they have done, East Midlands Railway fan. That's what we were saying earlier. They have just developed the current version. It is a copy and paste of the game with added features. It is still the same version of the game, it's just an update. Instead of calling it Train Sim World 5 Update 2.0, they're calling it Train Sim World 6. But it is essentially the same game. Darren, when they make a new game, they lock all new DLC to the most current version. All future DLC will be 6 only. So make sure you grab 6 for free. Yeah, absolutely, Darren. I think that there will be a free period. So it's like 5 was. I think there's like a 6-week period in which you can acquire it for free. But yeah, any new DLC that comes out, obviously you will need 6. But they're not. They're giving you the opportunity to upgrade for free. I think if they were forcing you to pay for that upgrade so you could access new DLC, I'd probably have a bit of an issue with that. But the fact that they're giving you the opportunity to upgrade for free, you can't really complain at it. Quinton, what about an A4? An A4 would be cool. I'm not overly keen on the steam mechanics in Train Sim World 4. I think they leave a lot to be desired. But it's you know, yeah, I think I don't really do Steam myself, but the Steam mechanics we have seen I don't think have been fantastic. I think Train Sim World Classic probably lends itself better to Steam traction than World does. Joel, releasing a new game every year is likely a necessary evil in order to support regular content release for the game. Without it, it's likely we'd stop getting new content for the game. Hey T-Dog, that is very kind of you. How about adding the Eurostar to Train Sim World 6? I mean, we've got the ICET in-game, I think, which is effectively the E320. Someone who knows far more about these things is going to correct me, but in terms of on the South Eastern High Speed, I personally don't think it will happen, but if a third-party developer wants to make it, it would be a good addition. Greenie would like it if they added, just passing through free bridges, would like it if they added late running AI services and running on cautionary aspects more to make it a bit more realistic rather than the odd scenario. Yes, Greenie, 100%. We're coming down to Gatwick Airport now. The train in front of us has been delayed with door problems. Check us down, stop us outside, put us into a different platform. Do something that's different. 90 along here, let's get a bit of speed down. Yeah, that is exactly what it needs. It needs to give you a purpose when you drive it. You know, we've encountered, I think, 2 or 3 cautionary aspects since leaving Brighton. You'd be running on yellows most of the way on this route in real life. So that is exactly what it needs. You get to a junction, signal has fallen asleep and hasn't pulled the road. That never happens, by the way. Signalers don't fall asleep.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, signalers forgot to pull the road, so you get checked out, or they're slow putting the level crossing barriers down at a controlled crossing. Oh, we're going across the junction at Tinsley. Interesting. So maybe we are getting some dynamic elements, and I don't even realise. 60 across this one. I think official VR support should be added. I have the VR version, and it's fun but so limited. I should probably have a play with that. Is it just the Harlem or the New York Transit or one of those lines that's in VR, isn't it? It is 60, yeah. Typical Nathan, I want Edinburgh, Dundee, Perth and Stirling in Train Sim World 6. Peter Edmonds, Exeter to Plymouth along the Dawlish Seawall, can't understand why it hasn't been done already. It would be open to a vast opportunity of different traffic, locos, regular services and rail tours. Not only that, it's an absolutely stunning looking route, Peter, so again, absolutely I'd be there for that. Right, red's at the end of the platform. It's going to be 30 mile an hour through platform number 1 here at Gatwick Airport. Charlie, extend the West Coast Main Line to Birmingham or at least Rugby and Northampton. I'd love to see that extended. It's probably one of my favourite routes in game, purely for the variety on it. I would love to see it extended to the same extent that the Train Sim Classic was. Three Seasons Eyes, hello, how are we doing? Just confirming my speeds as we go. Yeah, 30, that is what I said it was. I know something. Back the extension to NMP here. And there's our red ahead. We were a little bit fast at the AWS magnet there. I'd love to see they introduced like the I think it was in Train Sim World 4 It might have been 5. I think it was 4. The like diorama mechanic. So like where you've got your cafes and your coffee shops and stuff like that. I'd love to see that used more to sort of give you groups of railway enthusiasts and spotters on platforms when you're doing rail tour services and stuff like that. I think that would be a really sort of nice game mechanic to have. Or King's Cross to Peterborough, Charlie, yeah. The Diamonds, what sorts of traction and routes do you sign? My route knowledge is predominantly sort of, I have a little bit of route knowledge in Kent, quite a lot in Sussex. I signed the Great Western Main Line down to Didcot. I signed the Wessex Main Line to Southampton, the whole of the Brighton Main Line. It's quite a lot in terms of traction. 66s, 73s, 73s, 9s, 57s, 69s. Potentially a few others in the future, but at the moment that's all I've got. Used to do 375s, 377s, 465s, 395s, 376s back in the day, but I don't sign any of those currently. Okay, when does it want me to lock the doors? 8:58. We've got a minute to go. 2 yellows position forward, putting us onto the up quarry. Lovely, lovely. Seaford Zone, Train Sim World 6 before GTA 6. Yeah, I think that was referred to in the in the release there. So, Strudy 123, cable theft mechanic. Sit on the train for 4 hours, then get a bus like I did the other week. That's the sort of dynamic elements we don't want in the game. Yeah, I'm really lucky, the Diamonder, in that respect. Charlie Waterman, Romney Hyde and Dymchurch Railway would be fun. I think it'd be fun in the same way that the West Somerset, was it the West Somerset or the East Somerset? One of the Somerset railways that we've got. I think it would be fun in sort of a similar guise to that. Be good in free roam. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that would be implemented. Would be fun though. Right, green, we got the route indicator, /lunar, /feather, /flash, depending on what part of the country you're from. Joe, we really need updates to the editor so we can get more user-generated content. It's crazy that we still don't have any user routes or traction yet, at least I know of anyway. So the editor, I think, is notoriously difficult to use. I think when the editor was released to the public, Dovetail basically said they wanted to put it out there and see what people could do with it. But there's all sorts of issues with having the public editor. There's all sorts of issues with releasing content because the way PlayStation and Microsoft Store works, all the content has to be verified. You can't just sort of create something and put it out there like you can on PC with mods and stuff like that. So I think a lot of the third-party devs that have released content have been using it. And we are starting to see, more third party. We've just seen ATS enter into the Train Sim World franchise. Just Trains have been there for a little while now. We've seen Incredible Trains come in with the North London line. So we are seeing those third parties start to come in, and some of the work that they've done is incredible. And I think it can only be a good thing. The more third parties we get on board, I think the better, ultimately. Yeah, why I'm here, we were saying Birmingham, Snow Hill to Marylebone. We were saying earlier about Chiltern route, and I completely agree with you. West Somerset and Train Sim World, that's the one. Peter Edmonds, an Irish route would be good. Dublin to Wicklow along the east coast through Bray, preferably a few years back when they were still running GE diesel locos, not units. Stunning line. I went to Ireland last year, about this time last year, and we. I managed to convince my wife to do some train spotting by telling her there was a seat at the station she could sit down on because we've been walking all day. It worked a treat. Charlie Waterman, the Met Line, Jubilee Line, or even the Elizabeth Line. Elizabeth Line would be interesting-ish because I mean the centre part of it is automated, so I'm not sure what you would do with that. But then having that overlaid onto the line down to Reading, or even the Great Eastern Main Line out to Romford. I want to say Romford it goes to. Or does it stop before Romford? But yeah, the Elizabeth line would certainly be interesting. Seaford Zone, yeah, we're on the Brighton Main Line. Quinton, what about headboards? Headboards would be really cool. Can you imagine something in livery editor where you can design your own headboard and then pop it on the front of the train? I would like to see that. That would be a funky little feature. Sam's autistic, Merseyrail and the Peps. William, Stourbridge Junction to Stourbridge Town, the UK's shortest route. Interesting traction though. Interesting traction. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at with train sim world at the moment. I am going to be interested to see what new features we get. I mean, are we going to get multiplayer? Are we going to get station announcements? I am interested to sort of hear more about what... Shenfield, that's the one. The Shenfield Shark, yeah. Vince, Waterloo and City Line, that's another contender for the shortest route. Okay, we just passed through Salford. We've got Ellswood coming up. The line speed's going to drop to 80 or 85, I can't remember. I think it's 85 as we go around towards Red Hill Tunnel. Down the drain, yeah, the Waterloo and City, of course, known as the drain. Darius, there's a lot more speed changes between Newcastle and Edinburgh, and there's a mix of freight, express and local commuter trains at both ends of the route. Tyne and Weir Metro, the musical. Yeah, I was in Newcastle last week, but I didn't get to ride the Tyne and Weir Metro, unfortunately. I didn't have time. It was a little bit annoying. The Luton Dart, oh, we're really pulling out the short routes here, guys. It is an 80, not an 85. My bad. Tea and biscuits with the manager. So in terms of, I mean, everyone's sort of been quite vocal about what they want in terms of routes and traction. In terms of features, what would you guys like to see? So for me, like I said, it's kind of going to be those announcements is the big one for me, I think, and when I find the break on this, the dynamic elements I think is a massive one for me. Just having those, you know, I want to run on yellow signals a bit more. I want some P-way staff on the track. I want every run to be different in some way. Bus replacements from Birmingham would be nice. Vince in-cab announcements. Yeah, I think for me it's a big one. It's a big one. I think it would add to the immersion humongously. Back up to 90 as we come out the tunnel. Vince, all the screens working, full interaction with dispatchers. Yeah, again, some sort of dispatch, train dispatch mechanism, station dispatch with guards blowing whistles, closing the doors, ding ding on the bell. Or DOA monitors working. Absolutely, definitely here for that. John McGlade, I would like the announcements at the train stations and on the change, and I want the signal for change. We're getting too many green signals. Exactly what I've just said there, John. Get the audios right for the 390. I don't find the 390 one too bad, Charlie, but I'm not massively familiar with them. William, less of the placing of maps, newspapers and other collectibles and use the memory to create longer routes. I think the amount of memory for placing pictures and collectibles is probably really, really tiny. Platform dispatchers whilst at major stations, yeah, Joe, you know, we could start seeing like CD and RA indicators at the major stations where they're fitted in real life. Staff on the platform as well as, you know, the members of the public would generally be pretty cool. PASCOM alarms going off on the train, so you drive along now and the PASCOM alarm goes off, and then you get a recorded voice saying, sorry driver, it was a mistake or whatever, but it just gives you something to react to. Peter Evans, I'm not gonna read that one out, but I'm 100% with you. Let me build my own control deck. As a maker, I have all the bits. Oh, Vince, do you know what? There is an API, APU. No, that's something you get on an aircraft. There is a thing within the game that allows you to interact with the data, so that is doable. See it, say it, sorted announcements. Really?
If you see something that doesn't look right, report it to a member of staff or text the British Transport Police.
We can simulate that.
1016. See it, say it, sorted.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, again, it's a staple, isn't it? It's there. It exists. It's everywhere you go. Let's have it in game. Why am I here? Toilets on both trains and platforms. Nat or Nate, welcome to level 1's membership. Thank you very much, my friend. That's very kind. We are speeding. Let's get a little bit of braking because I should not be doing 100 here. We're going to bring it down to 85 because we are on a slight downhill gradient. The speed will run up again. Typical Nathan, that announcement. So if you search for a sound effects website called Tuner on Google, you'll find that one, and you'll also find this one. Again, this would be a really good thing to have happen randomly. Not all the time. You wouldn't want it all the time. But this could happen randomly when you're driving along. Which is your GSMR radio going off, emergency call. It would just, you wouldn't want it all the time, maybe once every 20 or 30 drives. It just gives you something to react to. Adam Wells, I think class 73s would be cool, something other than a 66 plus they could use for drags and measurement trains. Yeah, I was out doing some sound recording on a 73 today, but I'm not going to say anything else about that. All views and opinions are my own. So we're coming through the covered way, heading down towards the Stoats Nest Junction. Line speed still 90. Yeah, temporary speed restrictions, emergency speed restrictions, dynamic signalling, some sort of dispatch mechanism, announcement, random events happening on the train, PASCOM alarms, emergency calls on the radio, general calls on the GSMR radio. All those kind of real-world things to bring it together. So it turns from less of a game into more of a simulator. Yeah, Andrew's what we were just saying there, random events like PASCOM activations. Lewis Gates, I think the ability to make diagrams and shifts of varying length would be good, and mess rooms where you can go to have a PMB would be pretty cool and would have realism. Lewis, I would like to see that sort of game mechanics. So when you actually load into a route, you start in the mess room on Brighton Station and you go over to a board and it's got all the duties and all the trains on the board, and then you pick a duty, then it loads you in and you walk out the door onto the platform. Or when you get to Victoria, you've got to shut down the cab and then walk off to a staff room or a mess room in order to finish the game. Something like that I think would be a really nice mechanism. It wouldn't be too hard to implement, but I think it would add a lot. Vince, sudden power cuts. Peter, I didn't say that. All I said was a sound recording. It could have been for numerous things. You could possibly say. GJ, improved livery designer that allows you to have your own top brands to transpose easily over many classes. Yeah, that would be pretty good, GJ. I think with the livery designer being able to import images as well would be, or texture maps, would be pretty good. I'd quite like to see that in game. I don't particularly play with the livery yet. So I've had one go at making a southern livery on a 170, which was okay. But I do find it a bit, when I have tried to use it, it is a bit of a clunky tool. I would kind of like the ability to create scenarios within the timetable mode. So, when you go into scenario planning, you don't have any of the AI traffic there. I'd like you to be able to create scenarios within the timetable mode. I think would be pretty cool. Right, 60 coming up. Let's get some brakes in. More diverse NPCs. Yeah, Willem here. Again, I would like to see some improvements to the NPCs. Leo Low, timetable editor. Yeah, that's a pretty good shout. That's a pretty good shout. Through Susan's Eyes. I want to do them. It's just time. Darius, I like the next station announcements. I might remember to stop at them. I think by the time you get the announcement, Darius, you've probably gone through the station. Okay, 60 starts. Wallop, face full of tree. 60 at the 60. Beautiful. And we've got 2 yellows on the next one by the looks of it. AWS Magnet's quite far back for that. Yeah, right, people are always being asked to record 73 audio. Oh yeah, it happens daily. 2 yellows. Joe, if Dovetail provide an API for announcements, then we could add them in ourselves. That would also alleviate the license requirements that Dovetail would need if they were to add them themselves. There must be something in-game because it's been done on 5 Circle. There is an API available for the game. I wouldn't know where to find it, but there is an API available. What information you can get from the API, I don't know, but it is out there. Okay, 1 yellow, position 1. We don't actually stop here though, do we? So red is before the platform. And it is 30 if we're going through platform 1. 1 yellow, red's at the end of the platform. Just going to confirm we don't stop here. No, we are faster than London Victoria. We need Class 180s with Paul Tyreman included. You'll be going nowhere. Train Sim Society, this route is such a blast would benefit greatly from updated lighting and improved track shadows for sure. Yeah, but this is like a Train Sim World 2 route, isn't it? You know, bringing it up to Train Sim World 5 or Train Sim World 6 standards would be fantastic. Right, we are red ahead until we know otherwise. Has stepped up to 1 yellow. It's me going about dynamic signalling, and we've actually had a fair bit of it on this run. Why platform 1? No idea. That's just where we've been sent on this run. 2 yellows. Reds before Selhurst. We'll keep the speed down. Hopefully we'll have green on the next one. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we get. Like I say, I'm more of an optimist with these things. I don't think Dovetail are trying to fleece anyone. I think people need to get away from this idea that it's a new game. It's not a new game. Dovetail will you know, it's marketed as a new game, but it isn't a new game. It's Train Sim World 5 version 6, or it's Train Sim World 2 version whatever. It's just a natural upgrade with a different name on it. Taxi replacement service. Bus replacement. Is this a low blow? Absolutely, let's do it. Bus replacement service. Integrated bus simulator, yeah. I think some of the shunting operations in depots and stuff could be improved. You know, you could have like back-to-back radio communication when doing freight shunting and setting back. Lots of stuff could be done like that. Spaceful, hello, hello, hello. How are we doing, my friend? Just coming round towards Selhurst. I'm sure that last signal stepped up to a green, but my AWS is showing sunflower. There we go. We definitely had a green. Lewis goes, I hope guard mode will be worked on Train Sim World 6. It has a lot of potential. We've got guard mode in, Lewis. Is that something you'd like to see them improve? What specifically about guard mode would you like to see improved? So 60 at the moment. There we go, up to 70. We are going to go downhill, so that should pick up a little bit by itself. Next station announcements work on a pacer, but you have to set them off manually. They do, Darius. They also work on the 170 on 5 Circle automatically, and there is a mod available for the Southeastern High Speed route which does station announcements on the 465s and 375s, the Julie Berry ones, I believe. So yeah, unfortunately you can only mod if you're on PC, but that is out there already. Adam Wells, dispatcher mode could be cool too. I think a busy shift at a major station could be fun. Again, you know, it's interesting to sort of see what direction people want the game taken in. Yes, through Susan's eyes, never a problem. I'm always happy to answer, and I would genuinely love to get on and make them. It is literally just time. So I'm doing a slightly different job to what I was doing. My free time is a little bit more all over the place now, but yeah, I do want to do it. Adam Turner, I wonder would there be a good freight route, maybe from dock to depot, something like that? Yeah, potentially. I mean, we've kind of got bits of freight routes. Freight tends to go for miles and miles and miles though, so it's probably a little bit more challenging. But if you was to do, you know, the Great Eastern Main Line, you could potentially do like a Felixstowe to Stratford, hop onto the North London line, do North London line over to Kilburn Park, then go down the city lines into Wembley on the West Coast Main Line. Now, if you could route hop in a train, so without having to get out and go to one of those little markers, if you could route hop in a train, stuff like that would be possible. And I just think that would be immensely cool. Because then where you've got these little bits of route that connect, you can just hop into the next route. Vince, yeah, dispatch mode at Waterloo with dynamic issues, stolen cables, bent rails. Peter Edmonds ordering a Lavazza coffee through the GWR app and it arriving 50 minutes later cold just before Paddington. Is it that bad? 70 through here as we come down towards Streatham and get some brakes in. Lewis Gates guard mode would be cool if we could have a whistle. 100%, yep. I can't argue with that. That would be great. More variety in ticket type and first class tickets for applicable services. More customer service such as passenger questions would be fun. Yeah, not sure. The whistle I completely agree with. The tickets, yeah, not sure how you'd do the kind of the customer questions. You could have accessibility on there as well, so you could have stations where you know, you've got a wheelchair user waiting to board and you've got to go and put a ramp down. I think City Transport Simulator or Tram Sim certainly had a feature like that, so that would be pretty cool. Darius, in guard mode the signal buzzer doesn't work from the back cab. Yeah, that's annoying. That's something that I think should be fixed. Free Susan's Eyes, you're absolutely fine and I completely understand. My 6-year-old son does as well, and it's honestly not a problem. I completely understand. You don't need to apologise. You don't need to explain. You're absolutely fine. You're in good company here. You're with friends. More expert locos could be cool. Expert. Yeah, so I mean we had like the Vectron. So yeah, you have like an expert mode on the locos and stuff. That would be pretty cool. Train Sim World gave us fully 3D models and explorable trains, but there's very little reason to ever leave the cab. Yeah, I can't even disagree with you, Joe. I mean, having sort of a game mode where you work a train to a location, have to get out, pass 2 stations back to another location, and get on another train and work that somewhere, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. So, you know, on this, we could have said, right, we're going to work this train to Victoria, then we're going to go as a passenger back to Clapham Junction, we're going to get on another train and work it to Haywards Heath, then we're going to, you know, get on another train and work it back to London. So you kind of have a shift mode or something like that would be pretty cool. Great Western, the 66 needs massive overhaul. You know, it's my bread and butter traction. The line speed's dropped to 60. I really should have slowed down. It is my bread and butter traction, and I don't play it in game because I think it's terrible. Spaceful, what are the odds of getting Richard on something like a roller coaster? I love roller coaster, Spaceful. I went to Fort Park about 3-4 weeks ago, probably longer than that now, and that was about 2 months ago now. Rode Hyperia. Hyperia is fantastic. I love roller coasters. I'm there for that. 2 yellows. And I've said 2 yellows, I should probably react to it. So we are getting near to the end of the stream/video. Clapham Junction, Pope Arts Junction up towards Battersea Park, Battersea Pier Junction, drop down into London Victoria. 1 yellow, red ahead. William, if you ever drive York Leeds via Harrogate, I haven't. That's miles out of my area. I did do a little bit of driving around sort of up north a little while ago. I drove sort of Doncaster, Sheffield, Derby, Chesterfield. Had a little drive around there a few weeks ago in a 57 doing some passenger handling. GJ, some sort of career mode where you have to do well to gain experience and unlock more elements experiences. Yeah, that would work well, GJ. You know, some sort of mentoring. So, you know, you can have like a mentor. I've just thought of this idea. It hasn't fully developed. You can have some sort of mentor driver sitting next to you. So as you're driving the route, you know, in like a training mode, the mentor driver could be sitting there going, we're just approaching the station now, put the brakes in, you need a little bit more brake, no, you're absolutely fine. You know, kind of giving you some guidance and stuff like that would be pretty cool. It's like a training mode. And you can have it so you've got to complete so many mentor journeys before the mentor disappears. Then again, I can see how that could possibly get a little bit tiresome as well. Red ahead. DRA on. See, why did the lighting just go weird? That's, yeah, Train Sim World 2 route in Train Sim World 5, it's just bugged. I'm hoping the game isn't bugged. I'm hoping we genuinely do have a train in front of us. Yeah, it looks like we do. Great Mr. Photography, I have to agree with TJ. Vince, better dynamic weather. I'm not going to argue with that, Vince. The dynamic weather is... It always rains with dynamic weather. It could do with toning down a bit. Adam, I'd love to see a Network South East route set in the 80s or 90s with things like 4 VEPs. Yeah, that would be really cool. SIGs as well, SEPs. I don't know me slam door stock, but yeah. Or, you know, or South Western Main Line with 442s. So much you could do with it. Right, 1 yellow, red's at the end of the platform at Clapham Junction. We'll take power notch 2 only. We're no point hammering away because we are on 1 yellow only. Joel, you can even create your own TOC in a career mode and hire other drivers. I think when you start looking at stuff like that, you sort of got to ask yourself what the game is a little bit. We're still red ahead. William, it's tricky to make a highly engaging game since it's so niche and train driving is quite repetitive. Yeah, it's about sort of finding out, I suppose, what direction the community want it taken in, William. We are red ahead. How are we doing with the signal as we come through Clapham Junction? I can't see it because the wiper's in the way. We'll assume it's red until we know otherwise. 2 yellows. And we'll take a little bit of power. Red's up by Poparts Junction. Train Sim Management World. No worries, Free Susan's Eyes. Thank you very much for joining. Always good to see you here. Hope you have a good evening. Okay, 1 yellow on the next. A slippy season weather mode would be interesting. Yeah, we said that earlier, Greenie, about having better low adhesion physics. I think the game kind of lends itself to that. It would be better. I would like to see dynamic weather would give me something other than fog. It's giving us rain and weird lighting. Speed drops to 45 at Poparts Junction. Yeah, but I am excited for it. I'm definitely excited for it. I'm hoping that Dovetail will be kind enough to let me have a go a little bit sooner. Whether they will or not, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. That'd be quite nice. But yeah, definitely when it releases, we'll definitely be playing it a lot on the channel, sort of going through any new routes. I don't sort of tend to do the roadmap videos. There's already people that do those. The British Ace and Tintin Gaming, amongst others, do very, very good videos on those. It's not something I'm really going to get too much into. But we'll probably have more sort of videos like this where we discuss anything that's coming up and speculate. It's always good to do that, I reckon. Giving RHTT slightly more use when it isn't just cosmetic would be... Yeah, the Diamond Dig. Great shout. Green signal. Robert Jemrick mode for grabbing ticket dodgers. I think there's potential and there's lots that could happen. Peter Owens, if there was a management mode, would they all wear blue trousers and brown shoes and say things like going forwards? Going forwards. I think we're in a good place, but going forwards sounds like the sort of things I say at work. I think we've got to look at the wider picture. You know, we have to ask ourselves whether we have the capacities to facilitate that. I need to check that the necessary resources are in place. Also, I'd like no fog in the cab. Yeah, that's... Joel Crosby, I think the biggest problem is simply content. Everyone wants more trains and more routes. That's why I think better tools for third-party content would be a game changer. Yeah, I think we've got more third-party devs coming into it, and I think we are going to see that, Joel. To be completely honest with you, I do think we will. 1 yellow, reds before Vic, steep downhill gradient. So there's 92 of you lovely people still watching. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button. Consider subscribing. That would be absolutely awesome. That is our red signal. I should probably get some brakes in. Ooh, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. Gradient really pushes you down here. Not sure why that vigilance device keeps sounding off. That's interesting. Victor Charlie 530. stop, DRA, into neutral. This is where we find out that the game has crashed and we're not going to get a pathway into the station. This is the... There we go, one coming out now. This is the train sim equivalent of checking open train times, which never happens. A console route editor would be nice with better tools to help people get into it. Adam, I don't think we'll see it. If I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think that consoles have got the power to do the route editing, which I think is why we haven't seen it previously. I mean, never say never, but yeah. But Joel, you saying just imagine if Train Sim World had as much content as Train Sim Classic. Train Sim Classic has been around for so much time in comparison to Train Sim World, and I think Train Sim World, will get there, especially now we're seeing that the third-party devs. I think it becomes more difficult with Train Sim World because you've got the console support. I think it was an interesting choice by Dovetail to continue to support 8th gen consoles with Train Sim World 6. I don't know, especially when we've seen routes like the Manchester Airport commuter where they've said 8 gens are not supported on that route. I understand that they want to sort of be as inclusive as possible for so many people, but there has to come a point, surely, when you say, the game needs to move on and we can't support this older tech. Unless you're able to sort of feature limit for the older tech or what, I don't know. Vince, yeah, I've got the Microsoft version, Microsoft Train Simulator, kicking about somewhere. It was a green case with a picture of the Flying Scotsman on the front of it. That's a blast from the past. London Victoria, platform 13. Don't know if the TPWS works on this, but I'll say we'll drive it properly. We haven't done for the rest of the stream. TSW7, I doubt we'll have Gen 8 support. Is there going to be a TSW7 though? That's, I mean, we're speculating. We're assuming there will be. Surely there comes a point with core game features where you've done it and you've done everything you can with the engine. Surely there comes a point when you've got to completely rewrite the game and start from the ground up again. We were saying earlier, that potentially it won't ever have multiplayer because the game simply, there isn't the infrastructure behind the game to support that. So surely there comes a point. There comes a point when you've got to completely rewrite the engine to modern standards. While I'm here, I think the wait time between the announcements and release can sometimes, I feel, put people off. Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, routes are being worked on for quite a long time before they're announced. So, yeah, I guess they do it to build hype, but I know what you mean. Darius, PS5s are fairly cheap now. I've got a PS5, but I haven't got this game for PS5. I think if you're changing consoles as well, your collection doesn't port over. So if you're going from like a PS5 to an Xbox or like PS5 to PC, or if you're changing consoles, you're not going to get all your content ported over, which can then be very expensive to kind of go through that upgrade cycle. So sort of see why people wouldn't want to do that. If you're going from like, I think, a PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, your stuff will port over, so you'll keep all your stuff. But if you're changing over to a different platform, you don't. Lewis Gates, we need cross country in TSW6 with the Voyagers. Yeah, I think we are getting some cross country stuff. Hopefully we will get Voyagers at some point. So there we go, guys. End of the run at London Victoria. Train Sim World 6 officially announced. We have spoken about it. It's not Train Sim World 6. It's Train Sim World 2 version 1.6, 2.6, 3.6, whatever you like. That's where we're at. It's been a really interesting chat. It's been my lovely wife ironing behind me. It's been a really interesting chat. Been really good to hear some of your views and opinions on it. Thank you very, very much for watching. Do feel free to continue the conversation over in the Discord server. If you're not, I'm really sorry about the camera. If you're not over there, there's a link in the description below. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button. Consider subscribing. That would be awesome. We did speak earlier on in the week about a members only stream on Planet Coaster. That will be happening at some point this week, possibly tomorrow. Or later on in the week. I will keep you updated as soon as I know what I'm doing work-wise, which is a little bit all over the place at the moment. Right, before the camera has a complete meltdown, I am going to call it. and say thank you very, very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you very much for your comments and opinions in the chat. It's been really good to speak to you guys. And we look forward to seeing what Train Sim World 6 brings in a few months' time. Thank you very, very much for watching, and see you again very soon.